This lesson is going to look at storing and retrieving text and also about how to create a data dictionary. The first part of this lesson is just going to look at a table, and then next lesson we'll look at more of the code. The lesson itself is found on the 23rd of Feb, storing and retrieving text. And if we look carefully at that lesson, it talks about how to create a table, and then we're going to investigate the code within that table to see how it actually works as HTML, so we consider how we might build that same sort of thing using PHP. Obviously, the rest of the lesson goes on to the PHP sections of this code. We won't be touching that today, although we will be looking at the actual code in terms of thinking about how we can write a data dictionary for the code that is provided within this page. All right. The first thing we have to create is this table, and we're going to create that, of course, in Dreamweaver, and the notes are all here. Going across to Dreamweaver, just make sure we're in our practice folder here, and we're going to create a new file. So file, new. This is just going to be purely a HTML page. We're just going to use it for looking at how tables work in HTML. And we're going to save this file. May as well save it straight away so we don't forget. And we're going to call it exercise 3 table.html, and we're going to save it inside the practice folder. All right, so save. And just as a double check, looking over here, making sure that's gone to the right place, and there it is, exercise 3 table.html is in there. All right, because this is going to be a bit of web design, we're going across to the design page here, and we have our blank page. The thing we need to insert in there is just a table. So going across here to the insert menu, insert. We need to be in HTML, and we're going to insert a table, and that pops up a dialog. Now there are a few ways, a few settings in here, and if you just go back to the lesson again, we can see down there that the settings that we were expected to have was a 3x3, got a table here, width of 200 pixels, and all the standard settings except for we want headings at the top. All right, so 3x3, you probably have that as by default. Heading at the top, I've got here 100%. Let's go 200 pixels. These things, of course, could be changed, and we'll say OK. And there we end up with our table. In terms of that table, we have across here, these are headings. So in terms of the headings, and just notice down here, if I want to get back to all that information, I want to change anything within that table, down the bottom here in properties. At this stage, I'm in a table heading. That's a TH, which is part of a TR, which is a table row, which is part of the table body, and it's part of the table. If I click back in here in table, I get all those choices again. So I could change that to be 100% if I wanted it to be, which might be nice. All right. So going back inside here, so that's a nice way I can navigate my way through all the bits within the table. Going back to here, all we're asked to do is put some dummy data in there. The idea is so we can then look at the code. Dummy data, AAA, BBB, CCC, and then cell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's all we're putting in there. It's just dummies. AAA, notice that it all ends up being bold, BBB, and it will readjust itself, CCC, and then this is cell 1, cell 2, cell 3, cell 4, 5, cell 6, and just move away. Let's go and save that. File, save, Control S of course would work. And now let's have a look at the code that this creates. Right. Quite a neat little bit of code here. We can see up here the information about the width. There's a border of 1. We have these THs. THs mean table headings. And the scope is for the column. So in other words, this heading is for a column. And we have there B, 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 C, C, C. So they're all the table headings. So a TH is a table heading. TR is a table row, because of course this is a row in our table. Going back to the design, looking here, it's a row. Going back to the code, we now have a new row in our table, and there it is, just highlighting it there. You can see the row, and the row inside it has cell 1, cell 2, cell 3. Notice this time that the tags are TDs, because this is table data. That's a table heading. This is table data. So start table data, end table data. Start table data, end table data. Start table data, end table data. And then we have another row. So the TRs are there, and there we have the table data for cell 4, cell 5, cell 6. And again, looking back here at the design, we can see here the 4, 5, 6 are inside there. Going back to the code, table, this is the whole table. Inside the table, there's a table body. And you just need to make sure that when we do it for PHP that we end our table and we put everything inside a table body. All right, so that's how a table works. Hopefully we're able to do that. That was fairly easy. Okay, let's go back and look at what I've given you. So I've given you a page in your class notes called Data Dictionary for Exercise 3. What I want you to do is actually write all the variables that Exercise 3 has. Tell me what page it's on, and as best as possible, write a description. You will probably improve your descriptions in the next lesson when we go through and actually start creating this code. So let's have a look at the lesson. So back here, if we scroll down, we can see that we have, firstly, we have Exercise 3 PHP. It's just a form, and it has a couple of buttons on it. All right, so at this stage, I'm not asking you to write anything in the data dictionary for that one. Going further down, we have a data entry form. It is just a form, but I've already given you information here. I want you to have some fields. These all need to appear in your data dictionary. There's an FV name, an FV age, an FV suburb. I hope they're obvious in describing them. They will all be part of Form 1, because that's how Dreamweaver names things. At Form 1, you add another form, becomes Form 2. Yes, you can give them specific names, but we don't need to. All right, now let's go further down. So you're building up this data dictionary. Obviously, you can pause this video and start typing stuff up and then come back to play it. All right, for a start, this is terrible. I've got $name, $age, $suburb. They do not conform to camel case. You are going to write proper variable names for here and describe what they do. And as you can see, they come from a post. All right, so there's also post variables. You can talk about the post variables, where they posted from to. So in terms of what's going on, the post variable would come from this page, so they would come from the entry page and they would go to this page here. So you can start putting in the scope. All right, for the post variables. Now, there's some things down here you probably won't understand, but there's a file variable. So file is one of our Hungarian types. So you can say $file, but I haven't given this a name. We better say $file data, capital D for data, because it's camel case. That would be a much better name for this. And here, of course, that has to be $file data, and this has to be $file data. All right, and again, these would all be changed to the new camel case Hungarian notation variables that you used in here. So you're going to redo this a little bit. Okay, just in terms of the commands, this opens a file. We'll do more detail on that when we actually create this. This puts information into the file. This funny bit of code here actually makes sure it starts off with a new line, but we'll come back to that in the next lesson. And here we have data saved. Do our usual, show the user it's saved, and then a few seconds later, 2 seconds later, in fact, we go off to this page here. This just makes sure we completely exit this code. All right, let's go down to the retrieve one. Again, the aim of this exercise is for you to write a data dictionary. All right, we can see down here, here's the table. All right, and I have intended to change this to be 100% for the width. So there's a table in here, and again, we will actually build this web page later. Don't bother about building it now. I just want the data dictionary. Again, we have this file problem. I'd rather it be $file data. We have text record. That seems to be compliant with our camel case. And what the text record does is gets part of the file. All right, so text record is part of the file. In fact, it's up to the end of a line, or if it doesn't find the end of a line, it does up to 1024 characters. So that's the explanation of that. You may have to come back to this video in terms of when you start commenting on your code, but I'll probably do that in the next video as well. Here's int row, so it works out what row we're going to do. Again, our $file int row just knows what row in the table that you are going to be displaying, echoing. Again, we've got a text record variable, We've already described that. This is an array, so it starts off with $AR, meaning array. It's about personal details, so that's nice and camel case. You've already explained that variable. Here's our int row, $file, bad, needs to be $file data. Just looking for new variables within this. There's personal data's array, we've already got this. This array record, we'll come back to the statement and how it works, is actually one row out of the data. This is one row out of data. This is the whole set of data. This is just one row out of the data. So that's in terms of explanation. There's a bit of clever code down the bottom here that we will talk about in the next lesson. All right, so data dictionary, that's the task. Write yourself a good data dictionary. Hopefully you paused this video as you went along and started to type things up. Okay, thank you very much.